And so the soldiers started picking up the rest of us. And they arrived to our house. But fortunately, we had moved just a few weeks earlier. Now we lived in a big house with thick walls and no windows. And my compañero, he went out to try and warn the others that the soldiers were after them, tell them to hide. This is way before cell phones, right? And I stayed in the house because I was 8 months pregnant. And I, there in the house at night, would sit on the floor of the shower. I would sit there and burn one page at a time out of those books that spoke of my dream, of a country, of a world with justice, where children would have a school to go to, where children could have food every single day and even take vacations. I burn one page at a time, because if you burn more than 3, then the smoke can go out the window and the enemy will know where you are. The nighttime was silent, but suddenly the dogs would bark and my heart would start pounding. And I would wait for the sound of the military boots beating the cobblestone, coming straight to my door to take me to the jail, to the dark hole in the jail. The dogs barked several times that night, but the boots didn't come. I went into the bedroom, it was very late, and there he was, on the bed, my beautiful little boy. He was so gorgeous. He was 3 years old, and he was asleep. His chest just went up and down, up and down. Gasisi nana, gasisi tata, guananu mediu chusinu panyapa. Gasisi nana, gasisi tata, guananu mediu chunu rayudu. And then I caressed my big tummy. 8 months, that's a big tummy. And my little girl, I knew she was a girl, started to kick and move around. And you see, I had done my homework. Oh, yes. I had memorized the whole chapter of that book I had. It was a book called For the Places Where There Are No Doctors. And I memorized the chapter on what to do if you have to give birth. It was simple. All I needed was a piece of something sharp. Could be metal, could be glass. Just wash it well. I could give birth inside the dark hole in jail. I memorized it. Okay, so you have to pull, you have to twist, cut and make a knot. Jalar, torcer, cortar y amarrar. I could do that. And if they gave me water, I guess they would give me water in jail. I would have enough milk for my baby. What I didn't really know what to do about was once she was coming out, I might not be in too good of a shape, but maybe my little boy, Armando, could catch her when she came out. But you see, that was the issue. I had to make a decision about Armando, because if the soldiers came, I could take him with me, right? I could take him with me and they could hurt him. They could hurt him to hurt me, or maybe they could take him and raise him as their own or sell them. That's what they do with the children. The other option was to hide him under the bed. But once I was gone, what if he started yelling and nobody heard him because those walls of that house were so thick and there were no windows there? Or what if the neighbor heard him, took him, and when I got out of jail, if I got out, maybe he wouldn't give him back? That was a hard decision to make. I waited for my partner to call me, and finally he did. And 3 days later, I went to the visa office. You have to understand, Honduras was under siege, so you needed a visa to get in, but also one to get out. And I went into that office, and I cried. I spoke lies of truth. I told the man, my husband is gone. I don't know where he is. I want to go home. I want to go to my mother, have the baby with her, please. And the man took out his stamp and put that stamp on my passport. The next day, I was on that plane, oh yes, with my son's hand in mine. And when we were high up, I started to cry. I cried and cried. And I am sure that my little girl in my stomach, in my womb, she also cried. We got to Mexico. And 1 month later, I was giving birth in a hospital. And my high school buddy was with me. Wasn't easy, but my little girl was beautiful. She was so big and strong. But she cried a lot. And as she grew, she cried. And the doctors checked her and said she was fine, but she cried. And now Melida, she's a beautiful 30-year-old woman. She has a master's degree, her own business. She has a video production business, but she still cries. Now she knows what to do about it. She just has to wait and it'll go away. But I understood, yes. I understood that when somebody wants to change the world, make it into a better place, when somebody has dreams of peace, of justice, there are always a very high price. And in my case, my daughter pays the price with me. That's the way things are. A ver si se acaban todos los problemas jugando a la ronda pan y canela. A ver si se acaban todos los problemas jugando a la ronda pan y canela. Cum, cum, cutucu, cum, 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 cutucu, cum, cum. Coyote. The coyote liked to be very high up. So on his house, he put a second floor and he climbed there and cum, cum, cutucu, cum, cum. Desde ahí podía ver the valley. He could see the valley. But he wanted more. Cum, cum. He put a third floor on that little house and climbed and cum, cum, cutucu, cum, 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 cum. From there, he saw el río, the river. But he wanted more, quería más. So he grabbed a ladder and put it against a tree and climbed to the top. And from there, cum, 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 oh, he could see the ocean, el mar. But he still wanted more. So he grabbed another ladder and tied it up with the first one. And he climbed very carefully. And when he was about to reach the very tip and touch the moon, he fell. Cayó, 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 cayó into the center of the earth. And after that, coyote, oh, he spread his wings and he can fly as high as he wants. Because before you can fly, you must fall first. Oh, yes. So there I was in Mexico. I decided not to go back to El Salvador. The war was finished a few months later, and I said, I stay in Mexico. And remember where I found home once upon a time? Remember? Yep. Clark Center, New York. Drums, music. So I became a drummer. And for 28 years, I was a salsa drummer. And I was so happy because I made other people happy. I made other people dance, and they made me happy. It's perfect. And I succeeded. I had one house for my kids. My children were only in one house for their whole childhood until they finished college, and they only learned one language. They're angry. They say, oh, mother, you didn't teach us English. But I don't care. They only learned one language. I did fail about the father part. My daughter says, oh, mother, you're terrible at finding fathers for us. But I tried. And everything was okay. I became a storyteller. I started telling stories in community projects in very underprivileged places. But that is not very well seen here in Mexico. Doesn't make the government very happy. And suddenly I started getting very sick. I couldn't walk, I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe. And I think it was fear that made me so sick. The thing is that in 2017, I let go of everything. my career, my house, my children, and I came to New York. Yes. That was an experience, you can say. My witch doctor, the tobacco woman, recently told me this story that I want to share with you. She told me there was a turtle that did something really wrong, and the gods punished her by taking her shell off. And there she was, all naked, so vulnerable that she was ashamed in front of her community, and she left. She started to walk the road, and there she was, so vulnerable in the streets of New York. But then she made a friend. The turtle met the owl, and the owl asked her name. They started chatting. And soon the owl even gave her his song. Newanite kolotzintli nimonikatika kwalkan. Newanite kolotzintli nimonikatika kwalkan. And then when she left the owl's forest, that turtle had a hard patch on her back. She kept walking, and she met the viper, la víbora, coatl. And oh, she was sarcastic. She was not very nice. But after a while, they became friends also. And when the turtle left the desert, she had another patch on her back. And then she met the monkey, she met the fish, she met the eagle, and she had more and more patches on her back. I met Robin Beatty and her husband Tom. I met Laura Sims. I met Angela at the park and all my buddies at the park. And soon that turtle had a new shell. And when she felt strong enough with her new shell, she went home. And on the 3rd of March, 2020, I arrived back to Mexico, strong and happy and inspired. I did a project, and my life was threatened again. I got COVID. And now, 1 year later, I am renting a room in a boarding house in a city I do not know. I am still sick. I am grappling for money. I haven't seen my children in many, many months. So you could say that life is a circle, a rat's race, but my heart knows that it is not. I have understood that life is a spiral that does go up. So what I do now, what I've been doing for the past 2 months, is I stand every morning on the roof of the place where I rent my room, and I watch the sun coming up. Everything's okay as long as the sun comes up. And I stand there and I sing the same song every morning. And in English, the words of the song say, heart, open up. Understanding, open up. Put the mind to a side and let the hidden sun that you have inside come out and shine. It is time. It is now for your heart to open. Remember, spirit heals. Love can cure you. And as long as the tree blooms, there is life. Ábrete corazón, ábrete sentimiento, ábrete entendimiento, deja a un lado la razón, deja salir el sol, escondido en tu interior. Ábrete memoria antigua, escondida en la tierra, en las plantas, en el agua, en el fuego. Es tiempo ya, ya es ahora, ábrete corazón. I am lost in the map. But anyways, I caress the universe. I breathe earth. I dream air. I am. I go. Inevitably, I go because I am searching the veins of the planet. And yesterday, the hope bird called on me. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina. There's just so much to digest and take in about this amazing story. One thing I'm just struck by as we just start to connect here and you make the adjustment from storyteller to discussant here is the interweaving of true narratives with these wonderful stories, these wonderful folk stories. There's just so much, there's truth in both, and it's a wonderful integration the way you do that. We're going to talk about the themes in your story and dig into it a little bit. And joining us to do that is a storyteller, writer, and psychotherapist who's coming to us from Concord, Massachusetts. So let's welcome to our stage, Elisa Piermain.
Hello. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Valentina. Wow. It was such a beautiful journey. Yes, a journey of hope. And yes, I too loved the juxtaposition of your stories, the story magic it felt to me with your true stories. And I'm so excited to have learned your full story. Well, not all of it, but yes, and to be here with you.